It is Monday morning, and we are so glad you've decided to start your week with us. We are the comic dudes with attitudes. Sometimes there's more attitude than others. I think today is going to be one of those times there's quite a bit of attitude, but I think we're going to agree. So I mentioned this briefly last week that we're going to be talking about in some upcoming episode. The founders of Comixology have started a new venture, and that's going to be the topic at hand today. The company they're starting is called DSTLRY. I know, Matt, you've done a little research on this. I've done some research as well. Before we get into what will likely be some highly opinionated discussion, I kind of want to tell everybody what DSTLRY is, because this is a recently announced venture from these guys, and they stayed. I'll start at the beginning. So David Steinberger and Chip Mosher, founders of Comixology, which was the leader and probably best digital comics storefront and e-reader for comics, period. Amazon wanted to own that space, so they went and bought Comixology. And then, it's been well documented on this podcast how quickly that went downhill when they shuttered the Comixology.com website and folded it all into the Kindle store on Amazon.com. It was a bad experience. It's still a bad experience. Things aren't getting drastically better. They're taking baby steps forward and somehow still making no progress with really hard-headed people like me who are not happy. So David and Chip left Amazon. I forget who left first. One of them left in June of last year, and then one left in July. I don't think that the timing of this announcement is by accident. I would assume when those guys left, they had some pretty strict non-compete clauses in their contracts, given that they were both executive level employees of Amazon at the time, since they were purchased by Amazon. And their new idea, their new company, it's a publisher. They're going to be a digital first comic book publisher with creator owned books. This is a creator first type of venture and a digital first type of venture. And they've got a few pretty high profile people already on board. Becky Cloonan is going to be doing some stuff with DSTLRY. Scott Snyder, who seems to have no shortage of ideas and writes like 15 comics a month. I don't know how he does it.
Yep.
The man's a machine.
That's also well documented on the podcast. We've talked
about that. James Tinian's on there. And I think there's a few others that I'm forgetting, but those were like the three biggest names that stood out to me.
Ram V's a big one too.
Oh yeah.
Ram V, Tinian, and Snyder are like the trifecta. Like they all are connected from like the DC days. So like whenever one of them does creator stuff, like the other ones kind of follow. So I don't know. Yeah.
So they're also going to do physicals. They're going to be a physical publisher as well. And that's really the crux of their idea was, how do we make digital publishing and digital collecting of single issue comic books a good experience and a viable one within some kind of secondary market? I think that's probably that was their problem statement. What are we trying to solve with this company? That was probably it. And this is what we've got. I've got a few thoughts, but I've been talking a lot so far, so I kind of want you to chime in a little bit here.
No, that was a really good synopsis of like everything. You did much better than I would have done. I do with this company. I do like that it's very creator owned and creator focused. It seems like those names are not like the Tinian, Snyder, Cloonan, Jock, Ramvi. I'm not going to say like they're executives, but they definitely hold some weight in this. They're like kind of the foundation, it seems, of this company. They have some kind of initial buy-in to this company, which is important. They have a certain percentage of the company. I think they said it was like 3% set aside for other creatives that if their projects kind of take off, they can have a little buy-in to the company. So they're already like, they've kind of got some of that space already allocated off. And I think that that is something that is important in comics in general. I think another part of the mission statement behind this is we're going to pull this talent in, we're going to give them buy into this company, so then that they can provide us with great ideas because they are going to have ownership. And if a property really takes off in a video game or a movie or something, like, they're going to maintain ownership rights over these things. Unlike a Marvel and a DC, where like Tinian made all these different characters in his Batman run that was supposed to be a year, but he made Punchline, Ghostmaker. He was just cranking out characters left and right. He has no ownership over those characters, like pure ownership over those characters. So I really did like that.
He did Clown Hunter too, didn't he? He created Clown Hunter.
Yep, he did Clown Hunter. Like, there's another guy, like the beginning characters, like Mr. Something in that Batman run, but he made a bunch of characters for DC, and he's definitely a very creative guy. But I like that they're going to reward the creators because hopefully they will get some good ideas out of this.
You know what this sounds like?
It kind of like an Image.
Exactly. This is a digital first Image Comics.
Yeah. I don't know the ownership, but do you retain a lot of the rights at Image, or is it like
once you kind of do? Yeah, it's all creator owned. Okay. Yeah, it's all creator owned. That was the whole reason why these guys all left Marvel and DC, was that they didn't own any of their stuff. Image was founded on creators own their creations, like it's theirs.
I didn't know if there was like Image retained some of it or not. I don't know, but okay, cool.
I mean, I'm sure they take a piece of the sales, but the characters themselves, the IP belongs to the creator.
Okay.
Come on, man, you should know that. Image has been around for like 30 years.
No,
come on.
There's not really a lot of people that leave Image, so it's like you know, like once you make an Image book, it's not like Kirkman is taking Walking Dead to Boom. Yeah. So like, I'm just like, when we go to New York Comic Con, I see these massive banner. I can't think of anyone you would know like more than me.
Brian Michael Bendis, man, he took Powers.
Yeah.
That was an Image book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wasn't Dark Horse. It was somebody else. Dark Horse might have Powers now, but he went somewhere else before then.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just, when I see like we go to the New York Comic Con and like The Walking Dead is plastered, like, I don't know, I'm connected. I connect that to Image. That's all. So, outside of that, like, I mean, that's the only positive. If I'm being honest, I'm really kind of confused by this. And like, when you sent me this initially, this is not what I thought this was going to be about. I thought it was going to be more of a rival to Comixology, straight up. Like, me and you are both just like searching for that alternative to Comixology. Like, I really just
Global Comics, please.
Yes,
please, Global Comics.
Thank you for remembering Global Comics. I'm literally looking for any company to like throw my money at. Like,
I know.
I hate having to do. I really enjoy reading like independent stuff digitally, and it pains me that I have to go through Comixology and give them money because I really don't want to, but it's the only way that I can right now. So, so this wasn't exactly.
You bring up. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Well, finish your thought. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say it pains me to go through Amazon. It pains me, like, yeah, they're like, we get on here like in the news section, we're like, we can add multiple books to our cart, and we're like so happy, but like that's like day one stuff that was on the original app that, you know, that was established, and it's just, it's a joke, man. Like, it really is. And I don't want to go on a Comixology rant. That's a thing for a different episode.
Good. I don't either.
Yeah.
So, you bring up an interesting point, is that I think a lot of people will be confused at first because it's every news announcement you see. And, you know, when I Googled this before doing some research, you know, this has been picked up by, it's on IGN, it's on
Variety,
the New York Times, it's on Forbes, Variety, and there's varying degrees of understanding from these different types of publications, because
that's a good point.
Something like Forbes, they just go, the headline of the article from the Forbes article said former Amazon execs start digital comic publisher or something to that effect. Former Amazon execs. They have no clue that most people won't know these people as former Amazon guys. These are the Comixology guys.
Yeah.
And when that's the thing that you're the most known for, and you say, I'm starting up this new digital comics venture, most people are going to assume that you're doing a competitor to Comixology. And this is absolutely not that.
Yeah.
So the way this business model breaks down, it's like any other publisher. It's like Image or Dark Horse or maybe not IDW, but Boom, Dynamite.
They might
If
not be
you're not
right for you.
Marvel or DC, if you're not Marvel or DC, it doesn't apply to you. I mean, if you are Marvel or DC, this doesn't apply to you. This is like an independent publisher, and their roster of books is digital focused, and they've got this really interesting concept for how to make digital single issues collectible, and they go out of their way to say that these are not NFTs. Yet then when they go and explain how the process works, they're very much in the NFT adjacent realm. The only thing that makes these not NFTs is that they're not on the blockchain. You're not required to purchase with Ethereum a cryptocurrency. You could just
Okay.
buy dollars out of your wallet and you buy it with regular money. And there's some sort of database that tracks digital ownership of these. And you can resell your single issues.
I'm not trying to poo poo anyone, but my experience with NFTs is like me, you, and Ryan sitting on the couch having a pizza and him cracking these packs and getting excited. Like, I have no idea what these NFTs and this blockchain, like, so you have to use this Ethereum currency to buy traditional NFTs. So this is just like you use your credit card and use regular currency
Yes.
to buy these things.
Yes. But everything lives within the distillery
Yeah.
ecosystem. You
Okay.
buy it through their marketplace on their app. You download it on their app to read within their app, and then you can resell on their marketplace as you see fit. And there will be incentives, like you maybe get a special cover if you buy on Wednesday release day. They're talking about different ways to price things, which this I do think is interesting. They have some plans um, to price differently to continue readership. So they're saying, hey, maybe if you buy issue 1 of something, you'll get a discount on buying issue 2 because we want to keep the reader invested long term, which I think that's a good thing. If you're doing something to perpetuate the hobby,
Yep.
I'm on board to at least try it out and see what happens. But they really start to lose me with the digital marketplace, and I just can't see myself going and buying like a jacked up digital version of issue 3 of some Scott Snyder book because I didn't buy it when it was available for sale. That's another thing. There's like limited windows of availability for single issues. So
that was the thing that threw me off.
we're now trying to artificially create demand for something that I can only buy within this very hyper specific space. It's just I hate to be a downer for something like this because I do think that there needs to be innovation in the digital space. It can't just continue on in its current existence, which is like Amazon basically runs the whole show and you either buy digital comics or you don't, and there's nothing interesting happening. You get 4 or 5 sales a week and back issues are $2. That's it. Take it or leave it. So I do think there's a need for innovation. I really just wish that it wasn't tied to such a very specific set of books from one publisher. I just think that makes it a little bit more difficult for me to buy in, and I mean that in like a literal and a figurative sense.
Yeah, I just need like if this the release window thing that you hit on was like it was like, oh, books will come out on like Wednesday and you have from Wednesday until like next Tuesday to buy something, and then they're going to lock you out, and then the marketplace begins pretty much if you want that book.
Yeah.
And I was kind of reading it. I don't know if I misread this or something, but it sounded like the collected editions would be like more where you could catch up. But like single, if you're reading it single issue like month to month, like you're kind of screwed at that point. Like if you don't get it, when the getting is good, like you potentially could be price gouged to buy a book.
Or I'll just go buy it in paper.
Yeah. And then that was like, I don't know. That was my other point. It's like, if you're gonna do all this like collectability nonsense, like why don't I just buy it in paper? Like I get it. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't want it around our house. That's like the only thing. But I'm like, if I'm really gonna be in this, collector's market, um, why not buy it in paper? Another thing that alarmed me about this that I don't love is anytime I hear Bad Idea Comics. I don't know if you know anything about Bad Idea Comics and like
Mm-mm.
Dinesh, like they run all kinds of gimmicks and try to be funny and stuff, and like they artificially like create demand. They create demand for their books. They give out pens. It's very limited print runs. If you have to pre-order stuff, when you're out, you're out. They don't really do reprints. Oh, that's not true. They do reprints, but it's just they did a lot of gimmicks that I didn't particularly like love. If as a reader, like as a reader in this hobby, you want it to be accessible, and you can't have the accessibility for a reader and also create this demand per se. I don't know. That's like bad idea with like if you were the first person in line, you got this like pen, this like bad
Yeah.
idea pen or whatever. And then if you weren't, like you just like people get the feel bads and like that's not, I don't know. There's
I
just
mean,
something
I don't
about that
I
that
don't mind
rubs me
that
the
so
wrong
much.
way.
You need to market yourself. You do need to create demand for a product that you're trying to sell. If you're not doing that, then why are you bothering?
Yeah.
I get
It's
that. But
it,
my issue with this is that you can create that kind of demand for physical goods that
yes.
there's actually a reason why you would limit a production run because there's a cost and not a fixed cost associated with printing, binding, boxing, shipping, selling. But with digital, your overhead is so much lower.
Yeah.
There's the only thing preventing you from making things available in perpetuity is you.
Server
And
space and
that is
media.
where I'm like, it's I just think it's going to be a lot of people are going to be anti without ever even trying this just because they're not interested in that type of a marketplace. And I think that there's also I I want to bring new people into comics
Yeah.
and I want to grow the hobby and I want to do better in the digital space and I want more people to read digitally without the print comic dying. But I don't know who this is aimed at. Who is the target demographic for this? Because it's not guys like you and I think I I just can't figure out who's going to be really interested in this. Like, is it like crypto bros that like the idea of owning, things that are unique digital goods that no one else can have unless they sell it to them? Like, again, it goes back to NFTs. Like, I just don't know. I do like that on the resale market, the creators get a royalty every time a
Get to wet
digital
their
back
beak.
issue is sold. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that's the right thing to do. It's definitely like a jab at paper comics where the creator gets no money on resale for old issues. Like that's just it's not a thing. It doesn't happen. So that's cool.
I think a
Uh,
big thing for me is pricing. Like where are these issues going to be at? Because we say it's not for us, but if with these creators they have lined up, if these issues are like $1.99 or $2.99, like I will buy them. But if they're 4 or 5
all right.
bucks,
So
I don't know. Like
yeah, that's fair. So let me
if it's
ask you
99
this.
cents, like like I'm in. Like give me them all. But
Well, let me
yeah,
ask you this. How
yeah.
many Comixology originals have you bought over the years?
Cetera. Zero.
Exactly. That's what this is. This is Comixology
Yeah.
originals from a digital first publisher. No, you weren't buying those. I wasn't either. Why is this different? It's not. Like that's what I mean. Like that's like the hook isn't
Digital
that.
ownership.
So
Digital ownership. You know how I feel about that. Depending on the price and depending on, yeah, no, your point is valid. Your point is valid. If I feel like I have some ownership over something, I'm going to read it or play it. If it's just on an a la carte thing that's always there, I'm less inclined to engage with it unless I really want to. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
from my perspective. If I'm paying for something, I'm going to utilize it. Like if I feel like I'm really
Okay.
paying for it straight up, I don't know. That's me.
All right. So one last thing, the only the note that I had written down was when they were asked about how they're going to handle piracy. I think they acknowledged that it happens. They're like, hey, look, you can download our comics on an iPad. It's a really good device. It's high resolution. Doesn't take much to screenshot. Anyone, like, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
And our plan is that we'll combat piracy with a better overall experience. And
yeah,
that was sort of it. So like, I appreciate you acknowledging that. However, you can't stop it. And you don't have a plan to.
yeah,
And when you get into, and this is a thing, this happened with NFTs where people would buy NFTs and then like tweet their NFT. Then some dude to troll them would just screenshot the tweet and then reply to their tweet with, "Oh yeah, I have this one too," because they just screenshotted it. And then like the crypto bros that bought the NFTs would get up in arms, like, "Well, I have the key that shows that I own it. It's mine. You can't do that." But this is the same thing's going to happen.
yeah,
The same thing's going to happen.
yeah. I mean, it's
So I just don't know, man. Like I want to believe, but it really feels like this is solving a problem that no one really has yet. And I would be much happier if they were just doing a reader and a storefront that was better than Comixology, if I'm being honest.
I agree. I agree. That you hit on what I was going to ask you. It was like if this had image and boom or whatever, would you be on board? And like, yeah, like that's I don't know.
Yeah. So I've got like kind of one final summary statement. So if there's
Sure.
anything else you want to like
Oh, this
talk
is
about
good.
with this, or before we move on, like if not, I'm just gonna
Not.
wrap it.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
you can
So
wrap it.
in general, I think this is a really interesting idea. I do. But one of the base motivations that every collector has is a desire to touch, hold, resell, or display their collection as they see fit. And I don't know if a digital platform like Distillery will ever truly capture that feeling. I'm open to being proven wrong, though.
Scott, that's a good point. Just got to start hanging a bunch of digital picture frames around the house and just display your
Yeah, like
collection
what do you
that way.
like? I don't
Like
know. Like
that's how you would display it,
who
I guess.
cares?
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
guess.
I don't know.
So yeah, so that's that. That's first thoughts on Distillery. I would imagine we're going to come back to this topic after it launches. I think the first issue is dropping around San Diego Comic Con, so we got a few months before we get our hands on anything from Distillery, and then I think we'll maybe buy a couple issues and come back and talk about it, and talk about that
Sure.
experience.
I definitely want to check
All
out
right, you want to
Global
hit the
Comics as
news?
well too. Yeah, yeah, we can hit the news.
It's time for it's time for the news. Matt, because Dave doesn't really pay attention to this.
Not a whole lot of news this week, but I do have a couple items I want to go over with you. All right. Did you see anything about Across the Spider Verse and the runtime of the film?
No.
I'm very excited. It is 2 hours and 16 minutes, which is
Mm.
pretty long for an animated movie. It's actually 30 minutes longer than the first film. So
Okay, I like that.
if this film is anything like the first one, which it looks like it is from the trailers, I think we're going to be pretty excited for that extra 30 minutes and one movie that'll probably get me out of the movie theater. So I'm excited for that little hitter
My
there.
one prediction on this second Spider Verse movie is it's going to go one of two ways. They're either going to recognize that they have a hit and people want more of the same, and we're going to get a
Yep.
fantastic movie, or they're going to Sony it and do way too much and be super extra and add in a whole bunch of new stuff that no one wanted or asked for. And I'm going to hate it, but everyone else will still like it. those those are my only. I think it only goes one of those two ways.
Fair. That's fair. That's very fair. Um, News topic 2. Are you ever going to revisit Midnight Suns? I'm just curious. Are you ever going to go back to
Yeah,
that game?
yeah,
Okay.
eventually, yeah.
Okay.
I've been in a not playing video games kind of mode ever since I recovered from COVID, and all I did was play video games while I had COVID for 10 days.
Yeah.
I've really only been playing Apex Legends. Like, there's nothing
No.
else that has been really like pulling me in. I don't know.
Understandable. Well, the
I know they're
Midnight
doing
Sun
DLC.
Storm DLC, and
Yeah,
it's actually releasing on PS4 now and the Xbox One. The Switch version was canceled, which I think this would be a really sweet game to play on Switch, actually. Like, being a new father, having a toddler on your chest, like, that would be cool with the Switch to just sit there and play video games. And I'm actually really looking forward to this rumored Sony handheld for that factor. But yeah, Switch is canceled, so too bad. Too bad, so sad.
not surprised. I mean, the Switch came out in 2015, so it's technology that was already behind PS4 and Xbox One, and now that's 8 years old.
Yeah. It's like those Blackberries where they
Or did
like
it come out in
catching all
2016? Maybe it came out in 2016. I don't remember.
Still, dude, that's a long. It's
Still, it's either 7 years old or 8 years old.
if they can make that work on that, if they could make that work on that, that's like a miracle in my opinion. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, they clearly couldn't. So
exactly. One of our favorite actors, Carl Urban. Did you see anything about him?
no, I have not. Did he get arrested for being a piece of shit or something?
No.
Thank God. Please, Carl, no.
The complete no. Dread is the law, dude. Dread doesn't get arrested. He is rumored to be cast in the role of Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat movie, the second one, the sequel.
Okay. I won't see that, but that's cool.
You won't see it. I like it. Was cheesy as hell. I like.
Oh my God, that first
Max,
one was terrible.
Did you watch any of it?
I watched the whole thing, unfortunately.
Dude, the first 15 minutes are sweet. Remember when he's
first
like,
15 minutes, awesome. Everything after that, awful.
I thought you were going to be like, awful. I was like, no, those first 15 minutes were awesome. When it was Scorpion.
First 15 minutes was fantastic. And they just fumbled it just over and over. That dude, the weird armor stuff that appeared on the guy who was only in the movie for the sake of moving the plot along.
Yeah.
He served no purpose whatsoever in this film other than to move the plot forward in pretty much no meaningful ways.
Who's
it was terrible. Terrible acting.
I should know. What's the stone guy in Invincible? That's literally who he was. The black guy who turns into the stone in the Invincible comic. That's what that guy was. He just turned into he turned into gold.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
I do. Damn it. I should know that.
Find out this month, later at the end of the month. But yeah. You know who the Miz is, the wrestler?
I do. He was in the Real World. That's why I know him.
Yeah. He that was a lot of people wanted him to play Johnny Cage. I think he'd be actually perfect for that role, but I love me some Carl Urban, so I'm not mad at that. Did you see anything about Jim Lee?
I saw Rob Liefeld being shitty to Jim on Twitter, but that was it.
I follow Rob too. How did I miss that? Jim Lee was promoted to president of DC, so he's going to oversee publishing and then also oversee like the connectivity of the video games, the comics, somewhat of the movies. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's really going to change anything because he's the publisher of the comic line for which I care. So nothing is going to change in that regard. But I'm assuming, getting a substantial pay increase. I love Jim Lee, the artist. Jim Lee, the executive, is probably not my favorite. I don't particularly love where DC is at sometimes. I wish there was some more continuity, but it is what it is. Congrats, Jim.
It is kind of funny that he left Marvel to start Image to go and do the thing he hated so much in his youth.
Hey, man.
And then the thing with Rob, all Rob did was he quote tweeted the announcement about Jim's promotion and said, it was very sarcastic. He said, "Congrats, Jim. Can't wait for the Hush sequel."
I'm just going to say in the news segment, I expect whenever I'm just going to lead with a name and I want you to just say, did something shitty happen to them? Did they get involved in some racist incident, or did they murder someone?
You just never know these days. You just never know.
No, you're not wrong. You're not.
I didn't know Kevin Sorbo was one of those guys, but he is.
Well, Sorbo? What Sorbo's all? He's pretty alt right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Sorb. Hey, man, the Sorb.
Yeah, no, he's. We don't care about him anymore. He's out of here.
He's out. You got him out. You got him up out of there. All right.
Dude, saying a lot of really awful things on Twitter, man.
I don't know. Cool. I don't know.
Not cool things. Dude, I mean, wouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to find about 5 offensive tweets if you just scroll through his Twitter.
Luckily, I don't need to interact with Kevin Sorbo.
No one does. No one does.
I kind of want to save this for a potential topic, but you sent me a lot of things about Redfall and how bad it is. And I was very, very excited for Redfall. A lot of people were. Yeah, I was very excited. You crushed me in some direct messaging when I got all upset about the 30 frames per second thing. And you're like, you're still going to play it, but whatever. There was an interview with Phil Spencer on the Kind of Funny Xcast. And I do want to dig into this potentially later, but I want to read one quote that he said to you. So this was his quote. This was one of the very spicy quotes that he said in this interview, but this is the quote. "We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everyone built their digital games library. When you go and you're building on Xbox, we want a community that feels awesome, but the idea that if we just focused on more great games on our console, that we're somehow going to win the console race, really doesn't lay to the reality of most people." I don't know how... This quote, man, like, he was very transparent and open in this interview, but, like, when he said that, like, I'm like, why am I ever putting any money into this ecosystem ever again? His interview confirmed some things for me, like, in a good way, and some things in a bad way, but, like, do you think making bad games is better than making good games? Like, what are we doing here? So, like, it was just a very interesting interview. If you have 45 minutes, I would really, and you're like a console person, I'm trying to not be a console, a Sony or Xbox fanboy. I'm trying to toe the middle of the road, but, like, if you are an Xbox fanboy, you're going to be depressed when you hear this, probably. If you're a Sony fanboy, you're going to be really excited if you listen to this interview, but you should check this out. It was very insightful in the direction of Xbox. They do have a showcase coming up in June, so hopefully they announce some pretty cool games. Sony has
they can't just announce games. They have to show some really good AAA experiences that are coming soon that aren't broken on launch.
Yep.
Or it's over.
But Sony also has a showcase that's kind of rumored at the end of May, and I'm hearing Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, I'm in. Castlevania, I'm in. And Silent Hill, not so much. But it was just a really compelling interview, and I listened to it twice because I just couldn't believe it. But I appreciate Phil for his honesty and openness and calling it how he sees it. But yikes.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Also, I mean, yeah, that's great that an executive is allegedly or seemingly showing some kind of public accountability. But you're telling me that no one at all in the approval process for publishing a game took a step back and said, this isn't ready for wide release. Pump the brakes. No one.
Like, my thing is, like,
come on.
The floor needs to be like Far Cry. As a first-party developed game, like, you need to be as good as Far Cry. Right? Like, a I don't, and I like Far Cry's good to me. I like Far Cry, but, like, that's kind of what they were kind of going for. Like, I logged in that game, dude. Have you played it at all?
No, absolutely not.
Dude, I logged in that game, and there's, like, you're, like, on this boat, and there's, like, all this water like around you and it's like frozen to keep you in or whatever. They're like surrounding the town, those vampires. It looked like 360 or like Nintendo 64 level graphics. And I got my other boy over here. You know who I'm talking about. He's trying to tell me like, "Oh man, it's not that bad." I'm like, "Dude, like I don't have time for this level. My time is very limited. So the hour I get to game, I can't waste it on that." It did not help that and we'll get into that next. I was putting in some work on The Last of Us 2 graphically.
Yes.
You go from that to this, I couldn't do it.
Bad.
I couldn't do it. It feels bad. I had to turn it off. So,
I think hopefully the lesson learned for Microsoft in all of this is that the strategy of let's just go buy a bunch of developers and let them make games and we're good. Now we have a bunch of first party stuff wasn't a full-fledged strategy, and there wasn't anything put in place in terms of quality control to ensure that the titles coming out under the Xbox Games brand met the expectations of fans who grew up on Halo, Gears of War, Forza Horizon. The bar is pretty high for first-party Xbox titles if you've been around for a while.
Yeah. But all those games, like they're rooted kind of back to the 360 generation. We had like 2 generations of like. So I'm like, I don't know.
They hardly release
Sheridan
anything
really
on
wants to play with me,
one.
yeah. If Sheridan wants to play with me, I'll just buy that one game that we can play multiplayer. Like that, I enjoy playing multiplayer, but like we play the same game, so there's no point in me like going all in on this system. What's the point? You play Apex, so I'll jump on and play Apex with you every once in a while. Like I could have a Series X and do that. Like you know, like
I play
know.
Apex on a Series S that sits next to this computer I'm at right now. My Series X is hooked up to my 80-inch OLED TV. I got different systems for different use cases, man. I'm living in 2027.
You're doing it, man.
Because I'm not that far in the future, but you're doing we're a little bit. Anyway,
that's all.
Redfall, big disappointment.
Big disappointment.
Is it? That's all for the news this week?
That's all the news I got.
That sound means it's time to talk about what we're reading and playing. And this week, it's also going to be a little bit about what we're watching. But I want to talk about what I've been reading first. Then we'll get to that other stuff. So I haven't done a ton of reading, admittedly. But I did do something. I think this is a big time Matt move that I made.
I like those.
I've really been having a hard time holding a paper comic and reading it.
Yes.
I hate to admit it.
Once was a man.
So I really wanted to read that second arc of Noctera.
Yeah, you did.
So I went and bought it digitally. So it was like $2 per back issue.
Yeah. You got it. You're good.
I've been reading Noctera.
You got it, Poppy. You got it, Poppy.
Also, obviously, I read some Terminator stuff. I haven't gone back to Terminator, but I did buy. Haven't read yet, but I bought a bunch of classic Guardians of the Galaxy stuff during that Comixology sale. I bought all the Jim Valentino like classic Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, like the pre Abnett and Lanning Cosmic Marvel Renaissance. This is like the old Guardians, like from like the late 80s, early 90s. I've only read a few of those issues before, so I'm excited to dig into that stuff at some point.
Are you not a Marvel Unlimited guy? You're not a Marvel Unlimited guy? You got off that? You are?
No, I'm on it. I still have it. Yeah, that's how I'm reading. Okay. That's how I'm reading all of the comics that I'm buying in paper from Marvel. I'm reading them on Marvel Unlimited 3 months late because that's the life that I live. I know you're about to say, but that stuff's on Marvel Unlimited, but no, not everything is on Marvel Unlimited.
That was what I was about to say. I'm like, why are you buying that stuff? That's not on.
If it's not like modern era Marvel, there's no guarantee that complete runs or series are on Marvel Unlimited.
True.
It's just not all there. It's not a great app for like reading old comics.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And then as far as I'm playing, Apex Legends. New season kicks off tomorrow. Pretty excited about that. Also, we finally got Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp. Finally got it.
It's just
they
like
Nintendo remade Advance Wars 1 and 2 on the Switch. Not like a remaster. Like cool. These are fully remade for the Switch. Supposed to come out last April, and it got delayed because Russia invaded Ukraine, and for some reason Nintendo went, it would be in poor taste to release this game.
I get it.
I don't get it.
There's
the
always
Orange
a war
Army
going
fights
on,
the Blue Army.
There's always a war going on, though. That's someone's always at war with someone. I don't know.
Right. Well, but still, Advance Wars is like the most unrealistic. It's the most unrealistic depiction of war in a video game you could possibly find.
Yeah.
And they delayed this game for a year. And then at some point they were like, well, there are some technical issues. Okay, well, you said in the moment that it was because of the invasion. Was that a convenient excuse, or was the game really not ready and you lucked out because Vladimir Putin's kind of a dick? I don't know. But we finally got the game. So I've been putting a little bit of time on that too. Plus, since it's on Switch, I can like lay in bed and play it. And it's turn-based, perfect game to be just laying in bed, casually playing. What? Why are you laughing? What's funny?
We're going to have to talk offline. Like, Kevin Sorbo, dick. Vladimir Putin, kind of dick. Vladimir Putin is probably a huge dick. But just
he is. He is.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought that was...
No, you're good. You're good. My what I've been watching's. We'll get to that after.
Okay. I have some what
one's
I've been
a surprise.
As well too. Okay.
I know what yours is, and I want to ask how you thought about the movie. How you felt about it. I know you went and saw it. Yeah. I think we talked about last week.
Yeah. What I'm playing? Last of Us Part 2 again, people. So I was off work. This was the second week of my paternity leave. So pretty much I sat at my PlayStation, would get at least an hour in during the day, and would play at night. So I'm like 16 hours into this thing. So
you're close.
I check how long to beat, and I'm like, it's 24 hours, right, to beat this game. So I'm like, I feel like I'm getting to the end. Like, I feel like I'm getting there. And I'm like, I'm not really like checking the guide, but I was like saying, okay, it's like Seattle day 1, day 2, whatever. I'm like, I think I'm like almost done. Like, what's going on? And then I hit the cursor scroll. there's like 8 more chapters.
Oh, you finished it?
No. I have more to do. I have like 8 more chapters. I think I'm to the point. I'm not going to discuss it. I think I'm to the point where part of the point why there's some controversy. I'm about halfway through the game. If you remember what happens, maybe that's not why there's controversy, but we'll talk offline.
I haven't played the game in like 3 years, so
all good. I'm loving it. I've been big on video games. Like, you should tailor the game to how you want, right? So I've been using the accessibility settings. That's something I always check. So there's an accessibility setting where you can like do this like sonar pulse for items. So like I've been collecting like as much stuff as I can. Like my OCD is kicking in. I'm reading everything like I said last time, which is kind of crazy. And there's also one I would recommend because this is a game where there's like no map. Like you have a secondary character, so if you get lost, they can potentially give you a hint. But there's an accessibility setting where if you click like the right L3, it'll like point you in the direction of where you need to go. And that's been like super helpful. Like, because sometimes I'll go exploring and get lost and I'm like, where am I supposed to go? You click L3 and it kind of points you in the right direction.
You're playing on like double easy mode.
Yeah, I'm playing on super easy mode, but I'm trying to like, I'm enjoying it, but like, I don't want to waste time either, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, I'm the same thing, especially for a Naughty Dog game. Dude, play it on easy and just enjoy that story because it's going to be incredible.
Exactly. That's how I pretty much play everything now. But what I'm
me
reading,
too. Who cares?
I've read a lot. I read about...
Well, we try to keep this podcast to an hour,
issues.
so...
Yeah, I'm not going to. I read about 20 issues of The Walking Dead Deluxe, which is full color. Much
I
like
can't
I'm
believe you're still
enjoying
buying
going.
that.
I do. I love it. Much like I'm going through Invincible with Dave, reading Kirkman. Like this is. I'm really enjoying The Walking Dead in color, and like now that I'm current, I'm gonna try to keep up with it and just read it when it comes out.
I can't wait
The
until they
last
release those collected editions in color so I can buy them too.
he's not going. Well, I hope
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Well, you might get me too. This will be my 8th time. They'll get me, but the last book I'm reading Amazing Spider-Man again. There is a wacky ass crossover that I was like, I'm absolutely not buying those issues, and I didn't. But when it got to the main creative team again, I'm reading ASM. ASM 25 comes out this week, and I think there's going to be something that happens in that, and it might be on the news or it might cause an uproar in the nerd community. So we'll see where ASM goes. But
What's your prediction? What's your prediction?
I think Mary Jane might get it. I think she might buy it for real. I don't know. I'm thinking they
Dude, why
might do
can't
it
they just
finally.
get married? Why can't they just stay married? They were such a good married couple.
Nope. Yeah, I yes, I agree, but the story is going in a completely different direction. Like she has kids now with someone else, and it's like, yeah, I think she's
What?
gonna get it. Yep, that was like an issue of 1 of this run. Yep.
I'm so glad I dropped that book. I'm so glad I dropped it. That's stupid.
The John Romita art snob, dude, is really good. Like it's some of the.
You know
and
what?
I'm not like a huge Romita guy. It's some of the best John Romita Jr. art. Like,
Yeah, no, he's a great artist, but
yeah, it's really good.
the things that they've done to Spider-Man in the not so distant past kills me, man. Just can't deal with it. You know what? Why don't we just reveal that Peter and Mary Jane are mutants and ship them off to Krakoa? I don't have to think about it anymore.
Next month. I've watched 2 things, but I'll let you go because I think we have a shared watch.
Well, so I know you went and saw the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
What did you think?
Dude, as a 37-year-old man, I should not have enjoyed that movie as much as I did. That's all.
Yes, you should have. It was made for people like us.
Like when it started at the beginning with the little Nintendo, do like I started getting like goosebumps, and then that beginning with the Super Mario Brothers like cartoon theme song that most people don't know about with Captain Lou Albano, like we know, the nerds know. I was like, and I'm shocked. Like I'm not like a crazy Mario person. Like I'm not a big
Neither
Mario head, but like I got a lot of the references. It was
the
ending.
They also
was, like,
didn't they also like they paid some homage to the live action movie too. A little bit.
They paid some homage to the live action movie when they're in the pizza parlor and they have like the punch out thing with like, dude, it was just like that old. Maybe it was targeted at us, that generation 1 like Nintendo
Definitely
kids.
targeted us. We're like the Nintendo generation.
That's true. I love Charlie Day as Luigi. I thought he was great. Like they were all good, but I really like Luigi. He's like a little bit of a coward.
Fantastic movie. I'm excited to get more of it.
I can't own it. Yeah.
Give me the Super Mario extended universe, connected universe, cinematic universe, whatever you want to call it. Give it to me.
Yeah, dude. It was. I went. It was like a. It was a grandparent and one other kid, and I was at a full theater. It was like an empty theater. It was like a private screening.
Were you by yourself?
Had my feet. It was a grandparent, and yeah, I went by myself.
Did you go by yourself, or did you take like Elena or something with you?
No, I went by myself. I kind of wanted to screen it because I was like, I don't know if Bowser would be like too much for her, you know?
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Like, remember we were working at GameStop and they're like, "Oh, we took our daughter to see the Hulk, and she was terrified." Like I'm like, yeah, like we'll watch it at home. Like when it comes out, I'll definitely get it and we'll watch it at home. I didn't want her to. For those movies, it's like the sound more than anything. It's just so loud that that can really terrify kids. So I was like, we'll wait for home.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
My last watch, Power Rangers Once and Forever. Dude. So cheesy. It's so cheesy, but perfect. For me, it's for me. It's literally just an old Power Rangers episode, so it's definitely not for Dave.
That's how it looked.
It was just an extended like 90s Power Rangers episode. some of the creatures were a little bit more aggressive than I thought. In the original show, I don't remember a putty. I was a little thrown off. One of the putties like threw a woman off of a building. Like I was like, "Whoa!" Like, they weren't doing that, but shit was getting real in that. But no, it was worth it for Walter Jones, man. He never lost
I'm
it.
glad. He's the only one that when I watched the trailer on Netflix, he was the only one that didn't look old.
He still got it. He still got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know?
was happy for him.
But for included in my Netflix subscription movie, it was great. Xbox, take notes. This is the kind of content you need. Quality content. But in your streaming
Xbox
service.
takes one more note. Can you buy the Power Rangers license so I can play that beat 'em up game that's just disappeared from
So
what?
Sheridan let me log in because you were trying to do some wonkiness. So he logged in on my console, and he has that game. So I got to play it. Dude, it's good.
I hate you.
It's good. But I don't own it. Like, you can only have one of those console shares, so I can't do like what we do.
Oh,
but like if he's not playing, I can log him in and play it. But like if he's on, which he's constantly on, like I'll never get to play it. But I got to play it for like 5 minutes, and I was like, this would be pretty
that's
cool.
Something, I guess.
Yeah. So that's it.
Maybe we can find an emulator or something.
Maybe
On the sail the 7 seas. So Saturday night, I'm sliding down on my chair. Let me reposition myself here. Saturday night, my girlfriend and I were looking for something to do, and we were going to go out to dinner, and we had no plans or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Let me look at the movie theater by my house, and I wonder if this Guardians movie is doing well. Like, is it selling out? So I looked for Saturday night at 10:30. So it was too late to make the 7 o'clock showing. At 10:30, and half the theater was empty, and this was at like 5 o'clock.
Was this?
And I was like,
Saturday, so it came out Friday, right? Friday or Thursday, or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Opening weekend.
So I was like, what if we went and saw the Guardians movie tonight? And she was like, I mean, if you want, we can do that. And I was like, I don't really want to, but there's no one in the movie theater, so like we might as well. Yeah. Like, when are we gonna have a chance to go see it at Marvel movie opening weekend without it being like a packed movie and a bad experience? Like, because it's just annoying because there's so many people there. And then I said I could at least justify my hatred for the franchise. Matt, I was wrong.
You're back. They got you back.
There was still stuff that happened in the movie that I was unequivocally opposed to. It's still got some Guardians, like some slapdick Guardian stuff in it. But this movie was sad.
Really?
There's a lot of really sad, depressing stuff that happens in this movie. It is not a movie that you should let your kids watch. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, dude, like that's gonna make me sad. Like, that made me sad in the first one when they're like experiment, and he's got like, they show him all messed up, like, and he's all mangled. That made me sad.
There's all kinds of stuff. This is not a movie for kids. You should not let your kids watch this movie. Not let your kids watch this movie. There were kids in the theater when we were there, and I couldn't believe it. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
They took full advantage of their PG-13 rating that allows you to say the F word one time.
Okay.
This was a very adult Guardians movie. However, managed to still be stupid slapdick Guardian stuff at the same time. Like, I'm not saying this is like a top 5 Marvel movie, but I don't hate it like I hate Guardians 2. It was a well-made movie. I think it was a good... This is the last Guardians movie, allegedly.
Yeah.
So I think they did a good job of sort of closing the book on the team and what happened. I still think we've seen this in other Marvel movies post-Endgame. I think the way that they handled the snap and then everyone coming back from the snap 5 years later in Marvel Cinematic Universe time, there's still some after effects in other movies there are things happening that are very hard to explain. There's some of that in this movie too, around Gamora. That's all I'll say. But in general, I did not hate it. And based on my feelings around Marvel comedies, this is a huge win for Marvel to get me to admit that I enjoyed this movie for what it was. That's not a thing that I would ever have expected to say.
That means I'm gonna love it. That means I'm gonna love it.
I don't know. I don't know if you'll love it.
You know way more about the Guardians than I do, though. Like, you hate Drax, and I love Drax, and that
they course corrected a little bit on Drax in this movie.
I can't watch it. It's gonna be the last of us. I don't need to be depressed anymore. I have enough depression in my life right now. I don't need that.
It's a tough watch in some parts. It's a tough watch. It really is.
Well, that's good. It's got endorsement.
My girlfriend is a very sensitive person. She feels a lot, and when she feels things, she feels those things very intensely, both good and bad. And this movie made her cry multiple times. She was weeping in the theater. This is bad. There's a lot of really sad stuff in it. Got me too. I mean, I was, eyes were watered up, like sniffling. Like there was a lot of tough stuff in this movie. Very good movie. I was talking to one of my other friends about it, and he didn't like it as much as I did. But he said that some of the more depressing things that happened in the movie, he said that it almost felt a little bit manipulative. Like they were really like intentionally trying to like hurt people's feelings. And he was like, I honestly don't know if I really cared for it because of that. And it's a valid point. I didn't feel the same, but I can see how people would feel that way. It's going to be interesting to see this movie and Wakanda Forever and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Those three movies feel to me like they're trying to break away from the formula that they fell into, which was these are now comedies and superhero movies are supposed to be funny and they're funny all the time. And then we kill the villain in the end. And that's how every movie has gone for quite some time. And I think that they're maybe learning that that's not exactly what people want every single time they go see a Marvel movie. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I hope that's what's happening at least.
Well, this is definitely going to break me because I was tearing up at the end of the Super Mario Brother movie. So
yeah. Well, yeah, this is going to get you good. This is going to get you good. Also, saw the full trailer for the Marvels movie. I'm in.
You're in now.
Okay. I'm in. I mean, I was going to see it anyway because Captain Marvel, and I'm a big Brie Larson guy, so I was going to be there regardless. But yeah, movie looks real good. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all I got. I got nothing.
All right. Well, in that case, this is the part of the episode where I ask y'all to share the podcast with a friend, like, subscribe, whatever, follow us, give us a review. I also, on the Spotify, if you listen on Spotify, on the Spotify episodes, I've started adding a Q&A at the end of the episode. You don't actually have to listen to the entire episode to respond to the Q&A, but if you listen to us on Spotify, it's your chance to give us some feedback on the show. So if there's something that you like, don't like, whatever, you can send it and I'll see it and we can adjust accordingly. So you the listener or viewer, we appreciate you and we'd like your feedback. We want to know what you like, what you don't like, and what we can do better. So that option is there as well. You can follow us on Twitter. Both our Twitter handles are in the description of this video or audio episode. We'll follow you back. I've been doing a lot better. Matt can testify. I've been doing a lot better about tweeting.
Been engaging.
Lot more engaging for me. So you can follow us both if you'd like to do that. And we'll be back in 7 days with another episode. It's not the Invincible episode for May yet. You got to wait a few more weeks for that. But next week, we'll be back with something comic book related. And until then, my name is Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Take care of yourselves, everybody.
Peace.